Right now, in early 2026, Pakistan is a nation at a crossroads, being pulled in three completely different directions all at once. There's a hot war blazing on its border, its strategic weapons program is pushing into a new and honestly pretty controversial frontier, and at the same time, a silent health crisis is taking thousands of lives from the inside. So let's unpack this really complex picture of a nation grappling with its identity and its future.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll head to the front lines of that border war. Then we're going to go behind the curtain to look at its nuclear arsenal. From there, we'll dig into this new long-range missile program that's setting off alarm bells. And after that, we'll turn our focus inward to a quiet but devastating health crisis. And finally, we'll look at the huge choices all of this creates for Pakistan's future.
All right, let's dive right in with the crisis that's happening right now. In February of 2026, all these simmering tensions on the border with Afghanistan, well, they just exploded into open warfare. A real shooting war that put the entire region on immediate high alert.
So who are the main players here? Well, on one side you've got the Pakistani government, led by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the powerful army chief, Asim Munir. And on the other side you're looking at the Afghan Taliban leadership, including their supreme leader Hibatullah Akhundzada and the defense minister Mullah Yaqub. These are the men calling the shots.
And what's just wild is how fast this all happened. I mean, look at this timeline. It all kicks off with Pakistani airstrikes on February 21st. Just 5 days later, 5 days, both sides have already launched these huge named military operations. Then, a day after that, the whole thing gets even wider when other militant groups are told to jump in. This thing wasn't a slow burn. It was a full-blown firestorm from the get-go.
And of course, running right alongside the actual fighting, you have the information war. Pakistan comes out saying they've killed nearly 800 enemy militants. Afghanistan fires back, claiming they've killed over 300 Pakistani soldiers. The numbers are wildly different, and it just goes to show these aren't just statistics. They're weapons, used in a battle for public opinion where truth is usually the first casualty.
Okay, so let's pull back from the front lines for a minute. Because hovering over any conflict in this region is this massive shadow. Pakistan's ultimate insurance policy, its nuclear arsenal.
This quote, this really nails the thinking behind their whole strategy. You see, Pakistan feels like it's at a disadvantage when it comes to conventional military power, especially against its neighbor India. So their answer has been to build what they call a full-spectrum nuclear force. That means having a whole range of nuclear weapons ready to discourage any kind of attack at any level.
So what does full spectrum actually mean? Well, in hard numbers, we're talking about an arsenal of around 170 nuclear warheads. Based on the latest estimates, that makes Pakistan a major nuclear power, not just in its own neighborhood, but on the global stage.
To really get why this is so important to them, you have to go back to this famous quote. It's almost legendary now. After their rival India tested its first nuclear bomb back in '74, this was Pakistan's defiant answer. It tells you everything you need to know about the national mindset, a willingness to sacrifice anything to have that bomb. It's not just a policy. For them, it's an existential necessity.
But that nuclear program isn't static. It's evolving. And it's heading into territory that's making a lot of people very nervous. It's starting to look beyond just regional deterrence.
And that brings us to the big question, the one being asked in Washington and other capitals around the world. Their current arsenal can already hit any target in India. So why are they pouring resources into technology that could, potentially, reach across continents?
And here's the American answer, laid out in no uncertain terms. You know, when a top U.S. official uses the phrase emerging threat, that's not just diplomatic chatter, that's a major signal. It's a shift that takes Pakistan's program from being a regional issue to a direct, future concern for the United States itself.
So what's Pakistan's side of the story? Well, their reasoning is complex. It's a mix of things. Some of it is regional, like being able to hit distant Indian bases. Some of it is geopolitical, like warning the U.S. not to get involved in a future conflict. And then you have the scientific ambitions, like developing their own space program. The huge challenge for everyone else is trying to figure out the real motive here. Is this about defense, deterrence, or something bigger?
Okay, we need to do a hard pivot now. A really sharp turn, because for all the focus on borders and missiles, there's another war going on, and this one is being lost every single day inside Pakistan itself.
Yeah, this isn't a battle fought with soldiers and tanks. This is a war against something insidious, something culturally ingrained, deadly, and almost completely unregulated. that is just wrecking the health of its own citizens. And the enemy in this war has a name: Nazwar. So what is it? Basically, it's a popular, super cheap form of smokeless tobacco. You take a little bit of this stuff, which is a mix of tobacco, ash, and lime, and place it in your mouth for a pretty powerful nicotine hit.
And the price people pay for it is just staggering. Look at this. The science is crystal clear. If you use Nazwar, you are 20 times more likely to get oral cancer. Just let that sink in for a second. 20 times. It's a catastrophic risk factor.
And this isn't some abstract health warning. This translates into 6,000 deaths, 6,000 funerals, every single year, just from oral cancer. Think about that. While the military is focused outward, this silent enemy is killing thousands from the inside out. It's a public health disaster happening in slow motion, right in front of everyone.
So all of this brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question. How does a nation choose its priorities? Let's look at how Pakistan is handling this internal threat compared to what's happening elsewhere in the world.
And here you see two completely different paths forward. On one hand, you've got the UK, which is literally creating a smoke-free generation. They've passed a generational ban, meaning it will soon be illegal to ever sell tobacco to anyone born after a certain date. They're phasing it out. Then you look at Pakistan, where the laws are vague, they're focused on cigarettes, and they leave this massive loophole for products like Nazwar to be sold everywhere, even to kids.
And that's where we'll leave it. Back at that crossroads, you have a nation pouring its energy and resources into projecting strength, building weapons, fighting wars, all while a quiet, preventable crisis is hollowing it out from within. So the question we're left with is, what really defines national security? Is it the reach of your missiles or the health and well-being of your own people?